Hello everyone and welcome back to another Star Wars action figure review. Today we're taking a look at another Black Series 6-inch figure, once again a GameStop exclusive, and continuing the Clone Wars theme of my previous review, I thought today we'd take a look at Clone Commander Wolffe. This, right off the bat, is a fantastic figure, one that I'm really happy to have in the collection. As you guys will know, I'm a huge fan of Clone Troopers. However, I should probably stress before I begin this review that this is a slightly older release. This figure was first made available in the summer of 2018, so he's probably going to be a little bit more tricky to track down now. However, if you do get an opportunity to pick this guy up, I highly recommend that you do so, as once again, he is a great addition to the collection, and despite being a clone trooper that recycles parts from previously released figures, he really does offer something fresh and exciting in terms of his overall aesthetic, and we will touch base on that later on in this review. So before we jump into the figure itself, let's, as always, take a look at the packaging he comes in. And once again, we do get standard Black Series packaging for this figure. Got a really nice image on the front of the box, once again illustrated by Gregory Titus. On the side, you'll see there is no number in the series, as once again, this is an exclusive figure. And then on the back, we have a brief description of the character, accompanied by that image once again. Now, what's really interesting about the artwork on this box is that the illustration on the front depicts Commander Wolffe wearing a jetpack, and that's an accessory the figure doesn't actually come with, which is a little bit disappointing. Considering how Hasbro are quite picky with the illustrations that go on these boxes, and if you follow Gregory Titus on Instagram, he offers some real insight into the creative process behind these images. I'm surprised they let that one slide, considering they didn't include a jetpack with the figure. It's slightly misleading and again a little bit disappointing, but it's not a detriment to the figure, as it is, as I said, a really nicely done one. So that's the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure itself, and here he is. Very cool figure indeed. Absolutely love this one. Commander Wolffe is one of my favourite Clone Commander designs from the Clone Wars animated series, and with Season 7 being back on our screens, I thought what better time to review this figure than now. So right off the bat, as I mentioned at the beginning of the review, this figure does recycle parts from previously released figures, and in that sense, he is a little bit limited in terms of his posability. As I've mentioned in previous reviews, 6-inch clone troopers in the Black Series are notorious for their lack of articulation and inconveniently placed armour pieces, and this figure is no exception. Thankfully, the articulation was improved with the release of Clone Captain Rex in the Black Series, and hopefully that's something that continues with future releases. This figure, despite those limitations, is still very cool though. And with that being said, we will touch base on articulation first. So firstly, he does feature a ball hinge and a joint at the head. We have hinges at the shoulders, however these armour pieces once again do restrict some of that movement, so you're not going to get a massive range of posability out of those. There's a swivel at the bicep. We have a hinge at the elbow, although once again limited articulation due to the armour. Hinges at the wrists, a nice fluid ball joint once again at the torso. Hinges at the hips, which aren't restricted in movement due to the Kamer being soft goods, which is always welcome. And then we have double joints in the knees and a hinge and a rocker at the ankle. So in essence, he is super articulated. As I mentioned, it's just some of those articulation points are slightly hindered and restricted by the placement of the armour. Now, in terms of accessories, as I mentioned, with the obviously lack of jetpack this figure comes with, he's also pretty light in other accessories as well. He only includes the two DC-17 blaster pistols that you see in his hand there and in the holster. That's something that shocked me when I dug this figure out of the archive for this review, as I could have sworn he came with the DC-15 and DC-15S carbine pistol, but thanks to some eagle-eyed YouTube viewers, I was made aware of that mistake, and hence the reshoot of this video. So yeah, not a ton of accessories, but what is really cool about this figure is the fact that he does feature a removable helmet, and we'll get onto that in just a minute. Before we do, I just want to touch base on the amazing deco on this figure, and that's what I was alluding to at the beginning of the review, where I mentioned that this guy really does offer something fresh and exciting in terms of his overall look. I love the colour scheme. I love the patterns and the logos that are printed on his armour. This is just a really cool looking clone trooper, and I'm really impressed with this guy. As you can see, he does have the grey Wolfpack markings all over the armour. Got the Wolfpack emblem there on the shoulder, over on the other side, and also of course on the helmet, which is a superb sculpt. Absolutely love that. Once again, this is a realistic interpretation of how Commander Wolffe appears in the Clone Wars animated series. It translates really well into action figure form. There's some nice weathering on this figure as well, although it's printed as opposed to being a sort of overall wash. So we do have some battle damage and some scuff marks there on the helmet, on the chest armour and on the arms. As I mentioned, his Kamer is soft goods. And the sculpt, detail and overall paintwork on this figure is absolutely superb. What's really cool as well is that the helmet features a posable rangefinder. And as I mentioned, the helmet itself is completely removable. Now it is a very tight fit, but once you get the helmet off, you do get a look at this really cool head sculpt underneath, which is just absolutely fantastic. This is one of Hasbro's earlier figures to feature the photoreal face printing technology, but as you can see, they pretty much perfected it right out of the gate, as this figure's head sculpt is absolutely stunning. Really realistic. I love the added detail of the scar over the eye there, which looks absolutely stunning. Just a really cool figure. I'm really glad as well that Hasbro didn't just recycle a Jango Fett head sculpt for this clone trooper, as you can see, his hairstyle and overall likeness is unique to the figure. It's really cool, and in many ways this head sculpt makes this particular figure one of my favourite clone trooper figures in the collection. Commander Fox is up there due to his overall decoration, but in terms of sculpt and detail, this one takes the cake. Very cool figure indeed. Got the antenna there on the shoulder as well. Just a very cool looking figure. So again, a figure that I highly recommend picking up if you can get this guy at the right price. I imagine due to his lack of availability now, he is going to fetch a hefty premium on eBay and the secondary market. But again, if you can add this figure to your collection and you're a fan of Clone Troopers, you're a fan of the Clone Wars, I can't stress to you enough how much I would recommend picking this figure up. He is just absolutely stunning. Definitely a personal favourite of mine. So that is going to do it for this review on Clone Commander Wolffe. Once again, from the Black Series 6-inch line, a previously released GameStop exclusive. Highly recommended figure, very cool indeed. And I can't wait to share more figures with you in future reviews. So until my next video, guys, as always, thank you for tuning in. Keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.